Hey, what is up guys? This is Josh the Gamer here, coming at you with a brand new video. So today in this tutorial, we are going to be learning about handling keyboard input using event handling. Now, last tutorial we learned about event polling, which will pretty much constantly monitor any of your input devices to see if you've done anything in terms of inputting, say pressing a key or pressing a mouse button or something. And what that'll do is it will constantly run for as long as you have that pressed, or as long as you have it scrolling or whatever. Sometimes that's not necessarily ideal, and that is where event handling comes in. Sometimes you only want an action to execute, and I'm not talking about like action main, I'm talking like an actual, like a specific set of code. Sometimes you want a specific set of code to execute whenever you press it, and you only want it to execute once. Not multiple times, but once. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Now, event handling can be done in two ways. You can do it through your main class, or you can do it through an external class. I'm going to show you both ways of doing it. But to start off with the most basic way possible, I'm going to show you how to do it in your main class. So first off, you want to make sure that you have the keyboard listener class imported from libraries.interface.events. And then you also want the keyboard event class imported as well, using libraries.interface.events.keyboard-event. Next, you want to make sure your class also extends the keyboard listener. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, well, this class is already inheriting game. How can we inherit both game and keyboard listener at the same time? How is that possible? Well, it actually is possible. If you understand the concept of inheritance, you will know, and if you understand the concept of inheritance in science, you will know that you inherit traits from both your male parent and your female parent, or both your male parents or both your female parents, or whatever it might be. Pretty much you inherit traits from both your parents regardless of their genders. And that is pretty much where the concept of inheriting multiple classes comes from. However, when you're inheriting multiple classes, you do not need to use the is keyword twice. In Quorum, you just need to do a comma after the first class name that you're inheriting from, and then do the second class name you want to inherit from. So in this case, we want to inherit from keyboard listener. And as you can see, we don't get any errors because we are now both inheriting from game and keyboard listener. So main is a child of game and keyboard listener. Next, we want to go to our keyboard listener, and we want to copy the pressed key and released key actions. Those are required to override when you want something to be a keyboard listener, because without them you cannot detect keyboard input. So let's go ahead and copy those, because I'm too lazy to type them out. And there we go. Now, as you can see, the pressed key and released key actions both take a keyboard event parameter. That's why we needed to import keyboard event. We don't need to create an object for keyboard event outside of the actions parameter lists, which is very awesome. So now what we want to do is to make sure that this class will actually detect that, will actually say that, hey, we're adding this class as a keyboard listener. We want to go into our create game action and call the add keyboard listener action. This action specifically is inherited from the game class. So if you do control space or command space or whatever it may be, I believe it's control space on both platforms. I do it without thinking, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, what's the keyboard again? What's the key again? So what you want to do is find the add keyboard listener, and this will take a keyboard listener. Now, what do we want this to be? We don't have an object for our main class. So should we create an object for our main class? Actually, no. You don't have to do that. In fact, it's not recommended to do that because a lot of the time, if you do, the game will crash. So how do you do it? Well, you have to do it using a keyword called me. Now the me keyword is a very, it can be very complex to understand. All you need to understand about it is when you use me alone, it will say, it pretty much means this class. So when you pass it into the add collision listener like so, it says, okay, we are adding this class as a keyboard listener. So make sure you call the pressed and released key methods to check check for keyboard input. That's pretty much what it's saying. So now that we have that all done, we can go into our pressed and released key methods. In my case, I'm going to go into pressed key first. Let's go ahead and do if event colon key code is equal to, and now key code is an integer, and so are the keys that you reference. So if event key code is equal to event, and then as you can see, we have all the different keys and buttons that we can have for our keyboard. In my case, I'm going to do the up button. I'm going to end that. I don't want to do the double equal signs because Quorum doesn't use those. I'm so used to coding in Java. Anyway, so if event key code is equal to event up, so when the up key is pressed, we want it to do something. Let's go ahead and output up key was pressed. And then now in our release key action, we want to do if event colon key code equals event colon up. So this is saying if the up key is released, we want it to do something. So I'm going to say output up key was released. Alright, save it, build it, run it. Now that we have that, if you look at the console, you can see that since we press the up key, it's not outputting multiple times. Now, and why is that? It's not because I let go of the up key. I still have my finger on the up key. It only outputs it once. So then when I release the key, up key was released. Very cool. So that's how you make your main class a keyboard listener. But what if you want a different class to be your keyboard listener? So let's go ahead and actually do that. We're going to go into our source code, go to right click on the source code folder, go to new, Quorum class. I'm going to call mine listener of, yeah, I'm just going to call it listener. We're going to hit finish, let it create. Alright. Now, we also, in this class, want to use keyboard listener and keyboard event. So, use libraries dot interface dot events dot keyboard listener, and then use libraries dot interface dot events dot keyboard event. Now we want this to inherit from keyboard listener, and then we also want to have those pressed key and released key actions. So action pressed key keyboard event action released key keyboard event and then now we can actually do our if statements. So if event key code is equal to event, and we're going to say the down key this time. So if the down key is pressed, we're going to output the down key was pressed. Alright, now in our release key action, we're going to do if event key code is equal to event down. So when the down key is released, we want to output the down key was released. Alright, save that class, go into our main class, and then we want to create an object for our listener class. So listener, I'm just going to call it listener. So listener. And then inside of our create game action, we need to call add keyboard listener again. So add keyboard listener, and then this time we're going to pass in our listener object. So listener. There we go. Go ahead and save it, build it, run it. And then once it loads up, press the down key was pressed, release the down key was pressed, press the up key was pressed, release the up key was released. So there you go. That's how you pretty much use a keyboard listener in both your main class and in an outside class. You can also use this for moving the player if you really wanted to. You know, that's something for you guys to experiment with. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching, and we will see you all in the next tutorial where we will be learning about how to use or how to detect mouse input using event handling.